Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of VinceRussoBrand.com, where myself and Jeff Lane are going to talk about the final hour-long, 2-hour-long episode of Scream Queens. This was a show that Jeff and I watched throughout the entire year. We both watched it last night. We have not spoken about the show at all. We haven't tweeted or anything. This is the first time we're going to be discussing it. We were obviously fans of the show. And, when it comes to finales, it's either, bust or, a home run. That's the way it usually is with finales. So I was real eager to see the finale of Scream Queens. We're going to talk about this. A couple of things to hit upon before we get to that is, again, even though I don't have to do it for this one because this is a bonus, I love my buddy Sean Oliver so much at kayfabecommentaries.com that I want to mention them, as sponsors of our show, the greatest, DVD library out there in the market, the best shoot DVDs. Go to kayfabecommentaries.com, look at their library, professional, reasonably priced, and they have everybody who's anybody on there if you want to hear any shoot interviews. Also, I want to remind everybody we're down to about 22 days to join the brand for less than $1 a week. Listen, you can't get anything less than $1 a week. You can't go to the dollar store because there's sales tax. You can't go to a dollar menu at McDonald's because there's sales tax. This is legitimately less than $1 a week for 7 days of video programming every single week. And you can opt out at any time. There's no long time commitment, but you got 22 days left. The sale is going to go till the end of December. And I also want to remind the current subscribers, please remember to renew. That is very, very, very important to us. Some of you have manual renewal where you have to go in there and renew it yourself. I know it might not be a top priority, but please do it. Another note, I will be back later today with Chicken X. I have a lot to talk about on there as well. But this is a bonus podcast we thought we'd give to you because Jeff and I were so high on this show, Scream Queens. How you doing today, Jeff?
Doing good, man. I'm excited to talk about Scream Queens. Like you said, we hadn't talked about it, and I wanted to text you so bad last night, and I'm like, nah, it'd be better to save it for the show and discuss on here.
Yeah, and Jeff, that's why, like, before we even get started about Scream Queens, I just want to throw out the bullshit. I'm going to repeat that. The bullshit notion of how the landscape has changed in television with DVR and the internet and your mother's backside and Aunt Tilly's bazooms. Let's clarify that. I could not wait till Scream Queens came on last night. When I knew last week the season finale, they said it was 2 hours. It's been on my radar all week. I was not going to go anywhere with my wife. We were not going to DVR anything. I was in front of the television at 7 o'clock here, last night, 7 to 9, and everything stopped. My wife tried to talk to me a couple of times. I told her to shut up, and especially, bro, she wanted to talk to me like about her family. Listen, enough with her family. Her family was just here with the holidays, bro. I spent 4 or 5 days with her family. I want to watch Chanel. I don't want to hear about your family. But the people with the landscape has changed and bullshit. I could not wait to see this episode, Jeff. And I'm sure, bro, you feel the same way. I don't think you had any plans to watch this on DVR.
No, I didn't. I watched it live. There's still shows like that today. I mean, I'm sure everybody listening to this either felt that way with this show or they have other shows that they can't wait to sit down. I do know some people that they'll wait 15, 20 minutes. That way they don't have to sit through the commercials, you know what I mean? And then they'll be caught up by the time it spins around. But
I wait 15, 20 minutes for Raw, Jeff, because I'm prolonging the agony. I mean, so I'll wait the 15, 20 minutes. Then like it gets into it, and I'm like, oh, bro, okay, now I got to catch up. Oh, God, please. But, yeah, all right. All right, Jeff, listen, you're usually good. Not usually. You are good. This is your forte. You set the table really well. I'm not a good table setter. I never know where to start. So I'm going to ask you to set the table. We've not discussed anything. Set the table and let the conversation begin.
Well, obviously, last week's cliffhanger was Pete announcing to I'm bad with these names. Gracie, I think is her name.
Grace, bro, last night was the first night I got the names right. I've been watching for 12 weeks. Grace is the hot chick. Pete was the journalism guy.
Yeah. So he had told her that he is a murderer. So we weren't sure going into this 2-hour episode, is he what this doesn't make sense because the Red Devil killers are supposed to be the twin babies, one boy, one girl. We already knew the boy was Nick Jonas. Now I can't think of his name. So we were waiting for the girl.
Boone, baby.
Boone, yes.
Jeff, there's no way I should be trumping you on names now. I'm getting a little worried. Boone, baby.
Boone. Yes. So we knew he was one. We were waiting for the girl, and we knew that Gigi was the orchestrator. So then we're like, okay, how does Pete fit in? So we've had a week to digest that and come up with theories. And that's what they hit off right at the start. I mean, they came out with what Pete's role in this whole deal was. So what'd you think about that? Because they're like, he was kind of like their minion. You know what I mean? Like how Chanel has her minions. He was kind of like the Red Devil's minions. He did some of their killings. He did some of their stalking dirty work, but he was, number 4 in the pecking order there.
This is, I love two things about this, Jeff, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about is from a writing perspective. I love two things, bro. They got into it. No nonsense. I mean, right off the bat, there was no pussyfooting around. They got right into it. They got into it so quickly, Jeff, that I was sitting there and I'm like, they reveal this in the first 5 minutes of the show. Then Pete gets killed. The Red Devil, has Gracie, but lets her go off the first 5 minutes of the show. So, like I said, basically, like, how are they going to fill the next 2 hours? I mean, bro, let's face it. If this was Raw, I hate to even bring up Raw in the discussion of Scream Queens. I really do, because one of them is a nursery rhyme. The other one is great freaking television. It's a joke to put these two things in the same sentence. But if they would have wasted an hour at Raw, they did it so quickly here, Jeff, that I'm sitting there saying, how are they going to fill the next 2 hours? Like, they've 5 minutes. We already found this story out about it. Pete, he's been murdered. We didn't know if the Red Devil got Gracie. There was a great commercial break right there. Bro, how many times do we talk about cliffhangers?
Yeah, not only that, they went to a couple more scenes before we even saw Gracie, so they kind of left that hanging for a good 20 minutes or so.
But, bro, Red Killer's over Gracie. You see the gimmick come down, boom, fade to black commercial. Oh, is that rocket science? Unbelievable, bro. But here's the second thing I loved about it, bro. The way they threw in the part-time killer. You see, I mean, bro, you and I were focused on there's a boy and a girl. And like I even said, like I think I said a couple of weeks ago, well, we now know that Pete is the killer. And then, you came back to me, I think it was in a private, DM or something, and said, well, bro, that might just be a swerve. He already had the costume, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that they made him a part-time killer, opened up the possibilities. And, bro, the way they did it made perfect sense. The use, Jeff, of using the backstory and, clips from Pete's character's point of view that explained how he did it and why he did it. And you're sitting back and saying, oh, yeah, I mean, bro, that is just beautifully crafted storytelling. And again, Jeff, I have to say this, and I'm sorry. We're comparing this to a 70-year-old man. I mean, this is the kind of writing that I watch. And I swear, Jeff, I say, God, if I could be a fraction that good, like just a fraction that good of the way they've laid this thing out, the twists and turns, everything made sense. Everything fell into place. Bro, that was the first 5 minutes of the freaking show.
Yep. And the other key piece of information that he revealed before he was killed was that the female is one of the girls in the sorority. So that kind of narrowed the field down right there. He was, going to say who it was. He gets killed. So now the viewer knows, we know watching this, all right, we're down to this many girls. It can't be the dean. It can't be the cop. You know what I mean? It's one of these girls in the sorority. So that was another key piece of information right off the bat that would get somebody excited to see the rest of the show. So then you start saying, okay, we got Chanel, we got We got number 3, we got number 5, we got number 6, we got Zayday, we got Gracie. So you're starting to try to figure, okay, which one is it? Which one is it? And I'm going to kind of jump around because I don't remember exactly the order of everything. I didn't take notes because I didn't want to take notes. I just wanted to sit and watch it. And that's what I did.
Absolutely.
But I think they did a great job in the first hour of making you think it could be any of them. Number 3 started acting really strange. You know what I mean? Like she was being angry, and in some of the flashbacks, they showed her being tough. Number 5, when she walked out, she gave that smirk.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think they were kind of like, you still don't know where we're going to go. So we're going to make you think it's all these people, even in the last hour. I thought that was good.
Jeff, can I tell you something, bro? And we have to get a copy of this off of the internet because I know it's out there somewhere today. Bro, the Chanel letter when we came back from commercial break. And, bro, not only the Chanel letter, the way they shot it, where the words appeared like on every scene and everything. There was so much in that letter. And, bro, I was trying to remember the lines because I'm saying to myself, I got to hit Jeff with these lines tomorrow. I got it. But forget about it. Forget about it. Bro, I have to see that the body of that freaking letter. Bro, if you have an enemy out there, just send them this letter. Like, just send them the Chanel letter off the top of the show. There was so much in this and so many great lines. And the way they kept peppering the words throughout the scene was unfreaking believable. You know, Jeff, I have to ask you, like, bro, you know, like I used to get them people used to frown upon me about the crash TV that, it was too much. They're not going to be able to remember anything. You know, what are they going to be able? Bro, are you kidding me? There was so many one-liners in this freaking letter that I was like, I found myself, Jeff, as I was trying to remember it to pop you, I'm missing the next lines. So I basically just said to myself, you know what? I got to put myself in the moment of this and suck these lines in and suck this, this craftsmanship in. I'll go back and look at the letter, but I've got to listen now. But, bro, if you have any heat with anybody out there in the world, just get a copy of Chanel's letter and just send it out, just send it out to that person because there's nothing else you could do or say, bro.
I also liked how they showed it typing on the screen as she was reading it. And,
right.
And it just like no errors in the typing, fast typing, and boom, 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 coming across the screen. I thought that was good. I'd be interested to know because it was her sitting at the computer, if that was actually her typing that, if they had to do, green screen or slow down or whatever it was. I still thought that was really cool. So then that's email supposed to just go out to her sisters. So whoever the Red Devil killer is forwards that to everybody.
Yeah, she pulled the Vince Russo. Sent it out to the wrong people, bro. Next thing they know is they want to hang her and lynch her. Everybody,
I don't know. Did you, being a married man, I know you've never used this, but do you know what Tinder is? Because number 5's Tinder line like popped me like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a pickup gimmick, right, bro?
Yeah, it's like, and I use it. It's for single people looking to meet, people, and pictures pop up, and you hit, you swipe right if you like them, swipe left if you don't, and then if they do the same for you, it's a match. So she's calling the president. She calls Tinder, wants to talk to their president because the app must be broke because she hasn't had any matches yet. Like, I just thought that was hilarious.
But not only that, Jeff, what a great use of social media. Of course, this whole show was built off of social media, everything cool and hip happening now. And, bro, you got to think that these young actresses had a lot to do with that, too. You had to think that they had a lot of input because these are the girls that would be using, all this, social media. So what a great use of social media, what's happening now. Jeff, here's something like this. This tells you how good the show is because, Jeff, how many weeks was this show?
I think it was 11 because I think it was a 13-episode deal, and they did a 2-hour at the beginning and a 2-hour at the end. So I think it was only on for 11 weeks.
Jeff, after going through 11 weeks, I just picked up on one thing like last week. Last week, I picked up on it at the end of the show, and it popped me through this whole show. And 11 weeks went by, and there was so much going on that I didn't catch it till late. I got to go back and watch this now, bro. Bro, what number was EMFs?
3.
Bro, what about every time Chanel says something? Chanel number 3 has that short one-liner, the sarcastic one-liner, one word. Every time Chanel says something, she comes back with the 1 or 2 words, bro. Like, I never realized that till last week when she passed out the cell phones. And she's passing them out to everybody, and number 3 just slides in there. I like my cell phone. And then, like, they move on. But, bro, every time Chanel says something, she gets that one line in under the radar, so, like, Chanel doesn't pick up on it. It's almost like they had a special writer just do that, to make sure that that's consistent throughout the show, because it wasn't until the show that I freaking realized that was part of that character that got in her little digs at Chanel, like under the radar, that, bro, Chanel missed them. And as the audience, we missed them because they were so subtle. But God, I got to go back now to the beginning. I guarantee you there are probably 25
I didn't pick up on it. I didn't pick up on it.
She had a couple of them in this show too, and it was just every time it popped me.
Yeah, interesting fact about her. I don't remember if we've discussed this on the show, but she is Carrie Fisher's daughter, the actress. That's why she's been wearing the earmuffs as a homage to her mother. I thought at the end, but we'll get there. But she actually had the Princess Leia hair at the end of the
and I did not know that, Jeff. That's a great point. That's a really great point.
Yeah. So also in this first hour, we have, I think this was in the first hour because they were still trying to get info. Gracie's dad put the moves on Dean Munch with his mixtape, and I don't know if you saw the name of the mix on his phone, but it was like "Banging the Dean" or something like that. Was the name of the mix?
Yeah, and bro, some really nice selections.
Yeah. But man, I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was just like phenomenal in this entire show. The facial expressions, the way she portrayed herself as a know-it-all. This lady knows everything, but she's just as wacky as the rest of them. Like, dude, I think the show, as great as Emma Roberts was and as great as all the other performances was, it would have been a completely different show if that role went to somebody else.
And bro, the one thing I love about Jamie Lee Curtis, bro, listen, who doesn't remember Trading Places when she took her top off? I mean, just who doesn't remember? But the one thing I love about Jamie Lee Curtis, bro, is she has naturally aged. You can tell by looking at it, bro. There's been no lipo. There's been no Botox. I mean, bro, you saw there was no lipo when she did the scene in the freeze chamber, where she had the body of a woman her age. Bro, her face, you could see right above her top lip, the wrinkles, This isn't a woman that, had to keep up with Hollywood and had to get the Botox and the face pulled back. I mean, she aged gracefully. And, she was always that kind of a woman. And she looked the freaking part, of like a woman that was once super hot, but is now aging and becoming older, but there's still that part of her that, the guys wonder, what was she like when she was, a co-ed in college? So, I mean, that's why she was perfect for the part, bro, because it was so freaking believable. And obviously her background in horror films and everything, it was like a no-brainer. But, yeah, bro, the casting in this show, just unbelievable from top to bottom, bro.
The only thing I may have missed something, so tell me if I did, but in this scene, they had her say to Gracie's dad that if because he falls in love with her after this, which I thought was just awesome. We're going to have to get rid of your daughter, or Gracie's going to have to go away or something like that. And I don't think they followed up on that comment, did they? Because
this is what they were trying to do, Jeff. She kind of made it clear like they needed space from Gracie, because she knew Gracie was going to put the kibosh of her father going out with her. But the way she said it, they kind of wanted you to think, well, if Pete was a part-time killer, was there any way that Dean Munch was involved in this as well, because the way she laid it out, it was like, we need to kill Gracie. But then she basically, clarified herself where we need a little time from her. We need to be separated from her for a while. So I think that's what they were trying to do, and I think they had a little bit of fun with it. But I think by the time the scene ended, it was clear what she was saying.
Okay. And then also in the first hour, kind of simultaneously, Chanel decides that the killer is that Dorcas girl, the one that she burned with the acid in the hairspray or whatever in one of the first episodes in the flashback, because number 6 said she saw her with a shovel or yelling Dorcas or something. And that's one Chanel number 3 line. I laughed. She's like, she forgot her last name, like she couldn't remember her last name or something. Right. But so Chanel and I think number 3 and number 5 went with her. Chanel's gonna kill this girl because she thinks she's the killer. At the same time, Gracie and Zayde are doing research on the girls' backgrounds, and they don't tell the viewer, but they have noticed that one of them has a completely fabricated background. So they're like, okay, this is it. This is the baby. This is the killer. We don't know who this is at this point. So right about when Chanel's going to kill this Dorcas girl, she stopped because the girls tell her that it's not her. They know who it is.
But how about, bro, bringing along who's the EMF 6? 3?
3.
Bringing in 3 and to videotape this fake apology so she could play it to the world.
That was the other thing. Yes, I totally skipped that.
Just awesome, But bro, how about she's playing nicey nice, then she loses her temper. And she just, bro, she starts telling you're hideous, you're disgusting, bro. I cannot believe, honestly, bro, with this Chanel character, bro, how did people not start going on rampages about bullying and like that? That's what I was waiting for, bro, because the stuff she said to people throughout this entire series was just so totally unbelievable. I was just sitting there saying, okay, some idiot is going to take all of this seriously. Fox is going to get letters about, oh, you have a bullying character. That's the thing, bro. I think a lot of people hide behind the veil of, you're going to get heat for something, so you have to be politically correct. I think a lot of people hide behind that veil because that veil is, we don't want to take any chances. Meanwhile, if you do something like this and somebody does object to it and does make a stink, well, obviously you didn't get the joke. It's so clearly obvious you didn't get the joke. But but I'll tell you a little bit more about Chanel later on. There's a couple more things I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, and she made a lot of racial comments towards Zayde throughout the series too, and they kind of touched on that at the end in the episode. Zayde's like, well, you're kind of maybe borderline racist or whatever she said, but I think they did it well with the bullying and the racist stuff, that it was so over the top, and you knew like she was being portrayed as just an awful person and not as somebody people would be looking up to. So I think people got it and it worked. But yeah, normally in these situations you get the protesters and such. So I can't remember if it's at this point who they think it is. But they go back to before we get there, that whole celebrity apology tour where they don't mean anything. And I just got a kick out of that. That whole, cause she's 100% on the point with that stuff. Right. But they go back to the house. Number 5 finds out that the guy she matched with on Tinder is somebody from Nickelback. Right. This is so ridiculous. Yeah. It's insane. And then they hear a scream and they go in the other room, and number 6 has a heel shoved through her eye, and she's laying on the ground. So they all come in, and she points at number 5 and says Red Devil, insinuating that number 5 did that to her. And that was the end of the first hour.
Yeah, the way they went from the end of the first hour to the second hour was freaking magnificent.
You don't see that. You don't see that. You know what I mean? They did it fast.
Did it and here's how they did it. She's Hester is laying on the ground with a shoe in her eye, so we can eliminate her as the Red Killer. Okay, so now it's down to 4. We come to the next scene. They put the graphic up January 2016, which, by the way, isn't even here yet. Okay. And they have Gracie, Zayday, and Hester with an eye patch as the only three standing. So you're like, now, wait a minute. She just had a shoe on her eye. We assumed, she was out of the picture. Okay, now it's the three of them. So the Red Killer wasn't Hester because she's got the eye patch. She survived. What happened to the other three girls? Oh my! I mean, Jeff, that is such TV writing and craftsmanship. As I said, bro, I swear to God, I'm telling you this, and I'm embarrassed to be associated with wrestling, bro. Keep in mind. Can I remind everybody of this? Raw is on at the same time as this show. We're talking about the same time period, the same at night where adults are watching TV. Then people wonder why I'm embarrassed to be part of wrestling because of the effort they put in. The way they ended that first hour and started that second hour, what was just as good as the way they started the first hour.
Yeah, and I was I was shocked and impressed at the same time that they didn't drag it out. Like right after that scene, immediately in that scene, you find out the killer is Hester. It's number 6. You hear the narrative in her head. You notice there's no Chanel's here. I got away with it, I think was her line. She turns at the camera and smiles. So now we're at this point. It's like, 2 minutes after the top of the hour. So we got 58 minutes left in the show. Yeah. We know who the killer is.
But Jeff,
so that left a whole interesting.
What are they going to do for the next hour?
Right.
But I also love the fact, Jeff, how many times do we watch shows? Bro, I'll be honest with you. I do this in Blind Spot. How many times do I'm watching Blind Spot and like in my head, I'm trying to figure out what's going on and I'm missing what's on right now. Bro, between what they did with Pete at the beginning, now what they did with the Hester, the use of backstory, they made it perfectly clear to you this was the story all along. Like there were no holes in it. There was nothing we had to figure out. They basically said, well, you've been watching this for the last 11 weeks. This was the story. We're going to show you now how Hester was the killer, how her and Boone were brothers. It left no holes, bro. It made it crystal clear. I love that, bro, because you don't see that used a lot.
Yeah, and one of the cool things before we get into this hour is by having Pete in the mix, that allowed them to have people in the scenes that are the killer to not make it obvious who it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
yes.
and I think that was a good element there, especially in today's social media day and age where everybody can figure everything out and the theories get out there. Yeah. I thought that was well done. So we get the whole backstory here on Hester. I thought this was a great narrative. I thought it was very well done. Obviously, the ridiculous, over-the-top origin story of Gigi showing the kids pictures of weapons,
right,
perfectly fits in with the show.
Right.
Then you learn about like the neck brace origin, why she had the neck brace, the whole point of fitting in. You see, like, idiot Dean Munch knows it's fake, but because she's handicapped, we're going to accept her to the university anyway. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then you also get a reason why. I don't know. I don't know if she knew that Gracie was her sister at this point, but those two girls, Gracie and Zayday, were nice to her when she first showed up. So that's why she didn't kill them, because that was her plan all along. They were going to be her sisters when the idiot Chanel's were out of the way. So you got that reasoning why Gracie wasn't killed at the beginning. And
you got the great scene, bro, where they got the idea for the Red Devil costume.
Yeah,
which was great too. I mean, that was really, really good, because that would have been a question. Well, how'd the Red Devil come into this? And they even showed how that worked out, which I thought was great.
Yep. So then we kind of go backwards, back to the current time, and we see I love how that cop lady is the chief of police now.
Bro, she was phenomenal.
Oh, phenomenal.
Nisi, who is that? Nisi?
Yeah, Nash is her last name.
She may have stole the show of this whole series, bro.
Her reaction when she finds out that number 3's dad is Charles Manson.
Yeah. Bro, what about some of the Manson letters?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know anything about yeast infections.
Oh my God, bro. Jeff, don't you listen, bro. Listen, let's stop. Let's break down here for a second. I know you love your television, and I know you love your movies, and I know you're a great writer and you love to write and everything. But don't you love looking at stuff like that and just really appreciating, my God, like when you see people like in different fields that are just so good and like just pros at what they do. This was a case of that, bro. I mean, the Manson letters. I don't understand yeast infection, but I do know you should be killing your sorority sisters. I mean, oh my God, bro, that is so phenomenal.
Like, how are the writers not laughing and popping themselves when they're writing this stuff? I mean, it's great,
God, bro.
But we got the whole scene of the Chanels getting arrested, and Hester, number 6, convinces number 5's parents to turn on her,
Right?
Which was amazing. It was so good. The number 5, Abigail Breslin's facials and her whininess throughout the whole show was magnificent as well. So then Hester also hires actors to pretend to be her parents, and then so because of the Fryer lady, the Chanel turning on the Fryer, she got arrested. Number 3 being Manson's daughter, she got arrested, and number 5's parents saying she was adopted or a killer or whatever they said, she got arrested. And there was more stuff thrown in there. Good sleuthing as the cop out. That's some good sleuthing.
Yeah. Everybody, what was everything with her? Everything was not questionable. What was the word she kept using over and over?
Oh man, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Man, I'm mad that I can't think of it.
But anyway, bro, there's 2 things I want to point out here, and one of them is amazing. The first thing I want to point out was, Hester's case for everyone being the killer was phenomenal writing because it made sense. Like every story she said made sense that the cop, Nisi, was buying into like every single one of them. So those separate stories were phenomenal. And it showed you what a madman Hester was to come to devise these stories, get what the one parents to turn on, get fake parents, the whole thing. But Jeff, here's the thing that is amazing to me, bro. Listen, Jeff, you know how many times, like, we talk about wrestling, bro, why is it paying me to bring up wrestling in this conversation? Why? But you know how many times, bro, we talk about wrestling and I say, listen, forget about, making somebody the babyface, making somebody the heel where it's all black and white, okay? And we want them to boo for this person and cheer for that person. Forget that, because my thing is, first of all, nobody's all black and nobody's all white. We're all shades of gray, every single one of us, okay? But second of all, what do you care if they boo or cheer as long as they're reacting to the character? As long as they care about the character, what do you care if they boo or cheer? Who cares? Here's the reason why I'm pointing this out, Jeff, which was unbelievable when you think about it, okay? Bro, from scene 1, Chanel is like the worst person like on the face of this planet, real life, fictional, made up, it doesn't matter. This girl is like just the girl that everybody in the world hates. Like, oh my God, everybody's beneath her. She's rich. She's got money. She's attractive. She's got all the designer clothes. She doesn't even call people by their real name. She calls them by numbers. You have every reason to hate this girl. Every reason, bro. Like the biggest heel on the face of this planet, okay? By the time we go 11 weeks in, I'm sitting there saying, no, you can't arrest Chanel. You can't arrest Chanel. No, she didn't do it. Bro, that's unbelievable freaking writing, how this girl was the scum of the earth. And by the time you get to the last 30 minutes of the show, when she's going to go behind bars, even though she wasn't the killer, she still deserved to go behind bars. You're sitting there saying, no, she didn't do it. That's bro, I'm 54 years old. I'm not a freaking kid. That's unbelievable.
She was the only one that I did not want to be the killer. I did not want her to be the killer. I thought that would have been just, I didn't want that to happen. Yeah, so I think that's exactly because of what you just said. So I can't remember the order from this point on, but we get the trial. And the jury changes their verdict on the fly.
Before we get to the trial, though, remember there was that very poignant scene where Coach Munch told Hester, "I know that you did it."
Oh, that was before this?
I think it was. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, bro. Yeah.
Which was funny. Like, I loved it. She's like, good reasoning. Which you kind of wonder, okay, how did she not recognize the face before? But okay, we'll take that with a grain of salt, like the rest of the show. But she's like, I'll never forget that baby's face. I know it's you, and it's a real serious moment. And then Hester turns around and says, you turn me in, I'll turn you in for killing your ex-husband and whatever else you did. And there's the pause, and then she's like, all right, well, have a nice day. Like, that was...
Bro, what about that? What was the guy's name in this? The Chad.
Yes, Chad Radwell. There was not enough of him. That was the only complaint. But that scene with the cop was.
But what about great. They let him write the memorial on the rock? I mean, bro, because even my wife said, "What? That's a memorial?" And like a minute later, they explained that Chad wrote it, bro. How classic was that?
Sorry, everybody died. I always wanted to bang a deaf chick or whatever the heck it said.
Oh my god. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, but they had a good scene with him. We're giving everything to charity.
All of them.
What do you mean, which charity? Yeah. That scene was great, and then the scene where I just loved how he was all upset and crying because the cop. I don't remember her character's name. I really don't. How she has to let him go, and she want to take one last look at it. I mean, that was great.
Yeah. But yeah, you were getting to the point too, bro, where like, okay, like you see not guilty, and I'm happy. And then Chanel totally buries herself, and they make her guilty, bro. Which I still, like, at that point, I'm still saying to myself, I can't believe she's going to jail, bro. Bro, did you notice they didn't have a lawyer? The three of them. They had no lawyer, bro. They were their own defense. Can you imagine how that would have went?
Yeah, and just Chanel being Chanel when the judge says their name, she's laughing at number 5's name. They're about to go to prison. She's laughing at her real name anyway.
Well, bro, what about to her? Did you notice she kept calling the judge, every judge on television, Joe Brown? She kept calling the judge every black judge she saw on TV, bro.
I missed that. I totally missed that.
There was Judge Joe Brown, and there was another one. I can't remember his name, but yeah, every black judge she had ever seen on TV. That's how she's referring to the judge, bro.
That's just like, I'm gonna ignore. Yeah. I'm gonna ignore the verdict. What do you mean? What verdict? See, I just ignored it. So the jury, because of Chanel's mouth, changes on the fly to guilty. So the judge sentences them to the mental institution that the babies grew up in. Yeah. And we get we see how they love it. Like, they love it. Yeah, absolutely.
They can eat. They can finally eat.
Yeah. They're eating food because they don't have to impress boys. Number 5 got some good meds, I guess, that made her not annoying. So she's friends with number 5. Number 3 is getting all her lesbian fantasies out.
Lesbo,
Yep.
They start taking over the place slowly but surely.
Yep. And then they do the vote for the president.
The vote for the president. Chanel, it's a landslide.
The best part was her bed, where her bed was positioned at the head of the room by itself. I love that. Yes. But before we get into the cliffhanger, because there was a cliffhanger, like, there's certain lines that just popped out that you'd miss, like going back and I'm listening, and some of the stuff I'm like, man, how do they get away with this on TV? And some of the stuff's just funny, but like, do you notice in Hester's monologue how she talked about, I grew up eating this food, but I was blessed with this ridiculous body and these BJ lips. Like,
Yep. I caught that.
Yeah. I'm like, man, some of this stuff is just brilliant. Like, I don't know. Just
Jeff, this is one of those things, bro. Listen, bro. I really don't buy DVDs anymore. I mean, I really don't. Like, bro, it's got to be literally like, you know, when Creed comes out, like that immediately goes. It's got to be something like that. I can't even tell you the last DVD I purchased. It's usually if I find something real old school, bro, that you can't find, like Midnight Special, stuff like that. I am buying this season when it comes out because I've got to play this back and just catch. Bro, I know I missed 50% of the dialogue. I know I missed it. I've got to go back one by one and really listen to the dialogue and the way it was written because it was phenomenal, bro. Phenomenal.
Yeah, especially number 3. Number 3 had so many great lines, but her character was such a motor mouth and talked so fast that they just boom, 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 they flew by.
Yeah.
But she had some great lines throughout. I think this is a day one purchase for me when the season comes out. But the end of the show, we're left and where Chanel's in her bed and she looks up and there's a red devil killer over her with a knife and we go off the air. Kind of like how Wayward Pines ended, where you got your ending. Everything was nice bow, everything wrapped up, it's over. But here's a little nugget in case we want to go further with the show. So I thought that was good because if it doesn't come back, I don't think the fans will be disappointed with the ending. You know what I mean? Because everything was told in a story. Obviously, it all depends on Fox, the ratings, everything like that. But Jeff, do you see a season 2 possibility?
Well, you know what was the funny thing about this show, bro? I forget where I heard this, but God, it was, I didn't read about this. I saw like an interview where they were talking about it. You know what was the funny thing about this show, bro? The live ratings were not high, but the DVR ratings were through the roof. Like people were watching this show on DVR. Now, bro, I can't imagine. I could understand that. Like, I could understand watching it on DVR to play all these lines back, but I can't believe people are doing that. I mean, I just can't believe it. But that's really odd, bro. Nobody was watching this in real time, but they were DVR. But, bro, let's think about that. Is it really that odd? Because I would have to believe, bro, a lot of the fans watching this show were girls that were in that age frame. I'd have to believe that, bro. You know, high school girls, I got to believe that because, bro, the social media show, all that stuff would have popped them. Chanel would have popped them. I would have had to believe they had a great female following. So then you got to ask yourself, well, how many of those girls are really sitting at home watching television at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, from that aspect, it would make sense. But the only reason why I bring that up is because they weren't drawing the numbers in the live hour. They were getting the DVR numbers, which really doesn't mean anything to Fox.
Right. But the thing that I noticed, and I'm starting to notice this in a lot of television shows where they do have a strong DVR number, is advertisers are advertising their products in the show, like with them Samsung Edge phones last week. I mean, that was a full advertisement. The whole the side lights up, you can pick the color, it's going to be red. So that's something that advertisers are doing now for strong playback, DVR playback shows. So if you see that in a show, that's a good sign that it is doing well because the advertisers want to pay to get their product in the show. So that's a good sign I see out of this. But yes, the live numbers were not good.
Yeah, sure. And bro, I got to tell you, one of the advertisers of I think Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, I think the main sponsor and advertiser for that is Toys R Us. So maybe we should have some of the wrestlers play with toys as a product place. What a freak show. Can we get back to the screen? Jeff, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go first. Then I'm going to let you talk. I want to see what you think about this. Okay?
All right.
I don't want a sequel. I don't want it. I want to believe the end was a dream sequence. I don't want to see a season 2. Jeff, I feel that every episode of this show was so perfect, and the characters were so perfect, and the writing was so perfect, and I love them leaving us with that cliffhanger. But, Jeff, I got to tell you, I don't know. I don't know how this can be topped in season 2. But with that being said, Jeff, with that being said, I'm currently freaking the second season of Fargo. I don't know how this stuff comes out of people's heads. I really don't. It's that type of show, and I have everybody telling me, "Oh, this is nothing compared to the first season." Where I'm like, how is that even imaginable? Like, this is maybe one of the best shows I've ever seen on TV. And you're going to tell me this doesn't compare to the first season. So I think that tells you, Jeff, if you really got good, talented writers, they can top it, and the story can go on. But just coming off this season, bro, it's hard to fathom that. God, they can top this. That's hard to fathom, bro.
Yeah, and like with Fargo, I mean, it's a completely different cast, completely different characters. So that would not work with this show.
Yeah,
it wouldn't. I mean, this show is made because of the characters and because of the performances. And I would hate to see a season 2 with a whole new group of Chanels or whatever. I completely get what you're saying. In my opinion, this season, start to finish, was a masterpiece. And yeah, how do you top that? Where do you go from here? But then again, would I actually turn down watching more episodes of Emma Roberts playing Chanel? You know what I mean? I could watch her all day. And the fact that all the Chanels survived, so all those characters would be coming back. The cop's alive, Munch is alive, like all Chad Radwell, like all these, the ones they killed weren't like, except for Gigi, I really liked her, but they weren't like the standout, like they didn't really kill off any standout people. You know what I mean? Even Pete was entertaining, but he wasn't one of those draws for me. You know what I mean? So I feel like all the main pieces are still there. And if they can come up with a good plot and a good storyline, and they keep the same writers, I would like to see season 2.
Jeff, you know what I felt hurt this show all along? And I got to tell you, Jeff, this show was not on my radar, but I was going like on demand. I was going to watch something on demand. And, bro, like while you're flipping around to look for something on demand, they play like previews. And it, like in the corner of the screen, in a little box, was in the corner of my screen. And it was before Scream Queens ever came on the air. And they were talking to Jamie Lee Curtis and this and that. And it drew my interest. But I got to tell you, bro, the one thing I felt hurt this show from the beginning, even when I saw that, Jeff, was the name of the show. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, I always felt the name Scream Queens. Like, that's not a show like I would want to watch or I would be intrigued by, like, if I just heard the title. And I don't know, bro, did that turn a lot of people off with them really not knowing what the show was? With, bro, maybe them believing it was a horror show. I mean, who knows? But I never felt like, the name did the show any justice. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching the previews and the clips and the trailers and stuff, and I didn't get any impression from those of how hysterical the show was going to be, that it was more of a comedy than a horror. You know what I mean? I had no idea that the show was going to be freaking hilarious. I just thought it was a horror show. So yeah, maybe people did get that impression. I feel like they kind of they put Scream in there on purpose to attract that type of audience that like the Scream movies.
Well, bro, you got to keep in mind too, Jeff, that the writers of the show are the writers of American Horror Story.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, which gives you more reason to believe this is another horror show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, that was the whole thing. There's nothing funny about America Horror Show. I mean, nothing funny about that, bro. So if I'm thinking these are from the same creators and it's called Scream Queens, I'm thinking it's another, and bro, I mean, this had much larger appeal than being a horror show. So I'm just wondering, and bro, yeah, and again, I think this show was the word of mouth thing. I think this had to catch on for people to say, no, you got to see this. This isn't a horror show. It's about these sorority girls. It's freaking hysterical. I think that took a couple of weeks to happen. But, bro, I would hate to see the show not come back because Fox doesn't want to bring it back. I would hate to see that because then it's, at the end of the day, it's kind of deemed a failure. And I would hate to see that. but this would be a tough one to top.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what they need to do, and a lot of shows grow this way. Walking Dead was one of them. Put this on Netflix over the summer. A lot of people, they look for shows to watch on Netflix and then they watch them all at once. And people will watch this that didn't watch it, and then they'll want to watch the second season when it comes on TV, next fall or whatever. I think that's what they need to do with this show. That's where a lot of shows get new fans is through Netflix. So I think if they put, with the great word of mouth this show has, the loyal fan base, I see it online and social media. It's got a cult following now with the fan base. If that word of mouth and people have heard about it, they see it on Netflix. Okay, let's check this out. I have no doubt if they watch the first episode, they're not going to shut it off, because I had the same feeling watching the first episode. I think they grow their fan base and we see higher ratings if they do come back for season 2.
And Jeff, I got to tell you this. This is my barometer. This is one of the very, 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 very can't miss TV shows of my daughter. And bro, the diva is freaking 20 years old. Everything is below her. Everything stinks. Everything sucks. When she watches something, it's a good show. And bro, look at her demo. She's a 20-year-old girl in college. That's who they were shooting for. No doubt about it. So, and bro, my daughter is very, very intelligent. For her IQ I'm an idiot compared to her. Her IQ is through the roof. This is who they drew. You know what I'm saying, bro? But that's why, I just again did the title scare people away? I don't know, but it's just kind of interesting to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, man? What a season this was.
Yeah, and bro, listen, I swear to God, you know how I know this was a good show? I'm begging them to come out with a Chanel action figure. It'd be sitting right here on my desk. There's no, see, bro, when something is really good, I want to support it. I want to support it through merchandise. I want to support it, watching the show, talking about the show on social media. I want to support it because it's you've got, listen, we talk about wrestling really being bad. You have to understand why. You have to understand when something is really, really good, you've got to go watch this. So, just the fact that by the time this thing was over, I was all in. I would support this show, no matter what. That's the most important thing, I think. What about you?
Oh yeah, I hope I just hope that the Emmys and stuff don't snub these actresses based on the subject matter, because Emma Roberts should be up for lead, female, whatever the category would be, and Jamie Lee Curtis should be up for best supporting actress. Yeah. They were phenomenal, man.
Well, bro, we know watching yesterday that they snubbed Gerald Briscoe. So anything is possible, bro.
Right. That's true. Yes.
This is the worst decision you've ever made. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
All right, what do we got, bro? What do we got in wrapping up? I think this was a great show, Jeff. I think we looked at all aspects of it. I love the fact that we followed it throughout the entire year. Bro, we should have. We have to do one of these, bro, when we don't follow a show through. For me, the perfect one would have been the second season of True Detective. That I love Vince Vaughn. Through and through, and I love what's the chick's name? Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams.
I love them too, and I did not follow through with this season. We need to, when that happens again, a show on that, and the reason why we didn't follow through would be good too, I think.
Yeah, you told me to start watching that show, and I gave up after a few episodes. Yeah. I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But
yeah, me too.
But yeah, if you happen to stumble across this podcast through other means, you can find us at vincerussobrand.com. Also, we are on Patreon at patreon.com/vincerussobrand. So please check us out. If you are a brand member, and you want to give the gift of the brand to your friends to let them know what they've been missing out on, you can now get Realm Network gift cards. You can pick whatever amount you want on there, give them to your friends for the holidays, and they can use them to sign up for the brand. That's a good gift idea. I tweeted out the link. go to my Twitter at JeffLane22. Was yesterday, I believe. I tweeted it out, and just follow that link to get it.
And also, too, again, I just want to tell people, Patreon, listen, we have some of our free videos on there, and it's for a reason. I mean, obviously, it's like, oh, Vince, why are people going to pay for the videos if they're on free? Well, because it is set up just as donation-wise. If you want to donate to what Jeff and I do to keep this program going, bro, I'm PBS now. We're PBS, bro. If you want to donate to me and Jeff to keep this program going, you can go to Patreon and donate to the show. I know Jeff's going to put up 2 new videos today. We may even put this one up, Jeff. We'll see. We'll put it on, the normal channels first, but then we might even, put it up on there. But again, in any way you could, help us to keep this going, we'd really, really, really appreciate it. So that's it, Jeff. Tomorrow is part 2 of the Mr. Anderson interview. Tomorrow's Thursday. Today I'm going to do chicken next. Don't even know what I'm going to talk about next. I got to figure it out as soon as we close off the show. Then we'll be here at the end of the week as usual. Yeah, bro, the ratings came in again yesterday, and I'm like, why do we even? I don't know why we talk about them anymore. I don't even. Jeff, I got to tell you something. I'm this close to offering to making the same deal to the WWE that I made to TNA. I'm this close to saying, Nimrods, I will work for you for free. The product is so bad and so embarrassing, and you're shitting on the work that everybody did to bring you to this point. I will come there and work for free. How about that? I'll do it for free. Don't give me a dime. So we could take out the aspect of Vince Russo's looking for a job. I will do it for free. I swear to God, Jeff, I'm this close. But I also know, knowing the players, the egos, the pride, the politics, all the wrong reasons would keep them from using Vince Russo for free. So I'm not even going to waste my breath. It isn't even worth it, because even free, with what I helped them achieve, they still would not take me up on my offer. So I'm not going to sit here and browbeat them every week. And, okay, the ratings 2.3, 2.2, 2.15, 2.10 next week. Just the proof is in the pudding, bro. It's everything that we said was going to happen has happened. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be no big turnaround, nothing. And, again, bro, we just have to get to the point where it's like, okay, bro, when do we just stop talking about this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I gave up after 40 minutes this week. I saw Ed Ferrara, didn't even watch it. There's people in the business that don't watch it. They don't tell you that. I mean, they've told you we're not going to throw their names out there, but there's people in the business that don't watch it. And that's sad. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right, Jeff, that's it. Let me get my crap together for Bucket Full of Chicken next. But, Jeff, thanks for watching this season. Thanks for this review. I'm curious to see what happens. I guess we'll start hearing now, bro. I guess, you're going to start hearing rumblings. Is there going to be a second season? Isn't there? Bro, a lot of times too, bro, look at Seinfeld. A lot of times they may not want to do, a second season. Maybe in their minds, the writers thought this was one and done. We'll screw with them at the end with that finish, which was perfectly fine with me. But I guess now we'll start hearing, some rumblings of, what's going to happen from here.
Yeah, and you never know how much Fox would put into consideration the DVD and Blu-ray sales either. I mean, with this loyal fan base, a lot may not watch it, but a lot of those people that do watch it may go out and buy it, which would counter effect the fact that they're not getting the advertising money. So you never know.
Exactly. Well, there you have it, everybody. My review, me and Jeff Lane on the Scream Queens finale. We will be back here later today with a Bucket Full of Chicken next. And again, this is a freebie show. Everybody watching this, whether you support us on a long-time basis or not, just thanks for watching this. We appreciate that. It's what keeps us going. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.